Well, the House and Senate are back in D.C. this week, and the countdown clock continues to tick away on the rescissions package, still waiting to be passed. The Senate has until Friday to meet the 45-day deadline, or the rescissions package dies. Now, it only requires 51 votes, so this should be easy. It should be an easy matter. Cutting spending, right? No, it is the Republicans that are uncomfortable with the spending reductions, at least some. Joining me now to discuss this and more is Congressman Jason Smith, chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. He represents the 8th Congressional District of Missouri. Chairman Smith, welcome back to Washington Watch. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be with you as always.
Well, first, congratulations on playing a key role in shepherding the one big beautiful bill all the way through the House and onto the president's desk. Now, it's been 10 days since that passed and it was signed into law, but Democrats are still talking about it, and they're still spreading, well, let's just say, false facts. Your message to Americans?
So the Democrats are doing what they do best, and that's spreading a lot of hogwash. And they're just not being factual when it comes to the one big beautiful bill. This is the largest tax cut for working families, small businesses, and farmers in the history of this nation. It's also the largest mandatory spending cuts in the history of our nation. It's the largest one-time investment in border security. It creates the Golden Dome to protect all Americans. It's the largest welfare reforms in U.S. history. It makes the 96 welfare reforms look like peanuts compared to what's in this bill. It's also the biggest pro-life victory since the Dobbs decision. That's some pretty major wins within this bill. The Democrats will say you're going to cut millions of people off health care. The millions of people, Tony, that they're referring to is the 4.8 million people, according to the Congressional Budget Office, of individuals, able-bodied, healthy adults with no kids who just choose not to work because we put a work requirement for Medicaid. That is what they're talking about. Plus, there's 3.2 million people that will not be on Medicaid because they're illegals. We're making sure they're not on there. And then there's 1.3 million people that's within it that are currently on Medicaid that shouldn't be on Medicaid because they're not eligible. Those are the people that when you hear the Democrats talk about being cut off the system, those are the people that's being cut up. People who's not eligible, they're illegals, or they're just able-bodied, healthy adults that refuse to work 20 hours a week.
Chairman, I want you to unpack something for just a moment as you talk about the largest tax cut. I mean, if this wasn't passed, as we've talked about in this program before, huge tax increase. But the Democrats, the left, would say, well, you're just taking the money out of the pockets of the working man and putting it into the wallets of the billionaires. Speak to that.
So I would ask the question: how many billionaires get paid on tips? How many billionaires work overtime hours? That's not the case. The majority of this bill affects people who make less than $400,000 a year. This is a bill, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, tax relief for seniors. Huge wins for working families, expanding the child tax credit to $2,200 permanent. That's a huge win for 40 million families across the United States. You could go on and on, whether increasing the benefits in the adoption tax credit to the 199A small business deduction. That helps so many small business pass-throughs to make sure that they have certainty in their investment. These are things that affect working Americans, small businesses, The Democrats are just simply not being honest whenever they say it's helping the billionaires and the millionaires.
All right, Chairman. Final question on the reconciliation. Then we're going to move to the rescissions. So, what's going to be the acid test for the consumers, for the voters, for the people out across America that, as they see this unfold, they'll know they'll know who was telling the truth.
They absolutely will. And what's different about this bill than what happened in the 2017 Tax Cut and Jobs Act is that it's taking effect January 1st of this year. So this year that everyone is in, they have no tax on tips. They have no tax on overtime. And so whenever they file their taxes next spring, they're going to see the benefits of a higher child tax credit, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, lower tax rates. They're going to see the fruits of those spirits before the next election.
Good enough. We'll be watching. And there's nothing that you feel more than when you get your check and you see that the government's hand is not in it. That's a pretty good acid test. All right, let's talk about another fiscally prudent move initiated by the Trump administration, approved by the House, now sitting over in the Senate, and it's a part of the 1974 Budget Act, which allows for the administration to kind of claw back, if you will, money that was previously allocated. $9.4 billion in this first rescissions package. House passed it. It's over in the Senate. They have till Friday to approve it. But there's some Republicans that are getting a little timid about cutting.
You know, Tony, we had those same issues a couple weeks ago in the House of Representatives when we were trying to pass the rescissions package, but they got there. This is a very common sense, fiscally smart rescissions that the administration has asked Congress to do. The House delivered. I sure hope the Senate will deliver. This shows how difficult passage of the one big beautiful bill was, because of these razor thin majorities in the House and the Senate. We cut $1.5 trillion in the one big beautiful bill. This is a rescissions package of 9.4 billion. They should be able to deliver on this. I hope the Senate follows through. Hope they get the 51 votes.
Let's talk just for a moment about process, because under the Budget Act, they have 45 days once the administration submits it. It has to be approved by Friday in the Senate, or what happens?
Or it would have to be another proposal. It's within the guidelines they have within the 45 days to do. That's why we acted several weeks ago in the House of Representatives, and they just need to get the job done.
Are you concerned that they'll do something similar to that they did on reconciliation? They're going to wait to the 11th hour, approve it, after they amend it and make changes. There's some that want to restore funding to NPR, some that want to restore funding to PEPFAR, and send it over at the last minute to the House, where the House has no options but to approve it.
The Senate likes to do that, Tony. You know that. That's exactly how the nature of the Senate is. But if they amend it, it would only be to decrease the $9.4 billion. The $9.4 billion is a very common sense rescissions package. The administration, I expect them to send more rescissions to Congress that Congress needs to act, but this is a very basic one. I think they should be able to deliver on it, but it would not surprise me, Tony, by any means, if they would amend it at the last hour and then pop it over to us on Thursday.
Chairman, just got a couple minutes left. Over the weekend, President Trump said he would slap 30% tariffs on goods imported from the European Union beginning the 1st of August. They met today. They are discussing their options in terms of a response or a negotiated settlement. Your thoughts?
Well, the Union needs to be a good trading partner. Their non-tariff barriers that they put on US products, US agriculture products is absolutely unacceptable. And let me just give you a couple notes. The country of Honduras, 10 million people. They purchase more pork from the United States than the entire Union combined, which has a population of nearly 450 million. The poor African nation Angola purchases more chicken from the United States than the entire European Union combined. And why is that? These non tariff barriers that basically eliminate our US farmers from selling those ag products in the European Union. These are reasons why this administration is leveraging these tariffs. They want them to open their markets for our farmers, our manufacturers. And once they do that, those tariffs will definitely go down.
Sounds like a level playing field.
That's exactly what we're asking for, is to make sure our farmers and our manufacturers are treated fairly on the world stage.
Chairman, as always, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us today. Have a great week.